Hello and welcome to Access Asia. I'm Delano D'Souza. Coming up on the show this week, Cambodia hopes a new canal will generate much needed cash. However, residents fear displacement and unknowns on the environmental consequences of the project remain. A comedy drama set in rural India comes packed with subtle feminist messages. I'll be speaking to Kiran Rao, the director of Laapataa Ladies, in the show. And Thailand's Boys Love series gaining popularity across Asia. Fans of the gay television drama say it promotes an inclusive society. But first, the Cambodian government is planning to break ground on a major shipping canal in August. Construction is in fact already underway. The former Prime Minister has described the $1.7 billion project as a nose to breathe through for Cambodia, which is one of the poorest countries in Southeast Asia. But the venture is shrouded in controversy, from its financing to its effect on the Mekong River. Brian Quinn reports.
An hour's drive south of Phnom Penh, excavators work to widen a channel that connects to the Mekong River. This is to be the first leg of a massive infrastructure project known as the Funan Techo Canal. Locals here fear they stand to lose their homes and businesses, with no clarity on what, if any, compensation they'll receive from the government.
If the compensation is tiny, I'll move out with tears in my eyes. There is nothing we can do. The villagers can't stand up to them.
The project is a signature initiative of former Prime Minister Hun Sen, who ruled Cambodia for more than 3 decades and remains president of the country's Senate. At 180 kilometers long, the canal's planned route runs from a tributary of the Mekong to the Gulf of Thailand. Its goal is to provide a direct sea route for Cambodian exports, allowing the country to keep transport revenues that would otherwise go to Vietnam. The government says special economic zones along the banks will also create thousands of jobs. It's little consolation for those who have built their lives here.
I feel empty inside. We are losing the place where we lived in happiness. We never had any problems. A new location won't be like the place we know and love.
Meanwhile, many questions remain. Officials have touted the potential for agricultural irrigation during the dry season. Such use, though, could require approval from Laos, Vietnam, and Thailand, all of which rely on the Mekong, which is already threatened by pollution and climate change. Financing the canal's estimated $1.7 billion price tag is another unknown. Cambodia says a Chinese state-owned construction giant may be participating, but no public commitments have been made. Analysts say the government is likely to press ahead no matter what, anxious to cement the legitimacy of Hun Sen's successor, his own son.
Next, it's a story set in rural India in 2001. Laapataa Ladies, or Lost Ladies, is a Hindi comedy drama about 2 newlywed couples who board a train late at night and wind up with the wrong partners. But the mishap isn't discovered until they reach their respective villages. Take a look.
आपकी बाहू घूंघट ऊपर उठा लो बेटा सब घर वाले ही है ये कौन है रे
चाची बदली हो गई
ओ भाग
सर ये हमारा दोस्त है दीपक कुमार कल रात को विदा करा के वापस लौट रहा था तो रास्ता में इसकी बीवी खो गई सर
To talk more about the film and its message, I'd like to bring in Kiran Rao, who directed Laapataa Ladies. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your holiday to speak to us here on France 24. What was it about this screenplay that made you want to make this film?
You know, the film came packed with a fun premise to begin with, but I knew that it would be a great vehicle to be able to talk about a lot of female experiences, a lot of ideas about how we discover ourselves as we go along. And in this film, there's the ability to say all of that through comedy. So I enjoyed the screenplay when I first read it, and I knew I wanted to develop it further and, you know, do a lot with it. So yeah, I read it and enjoyed it thoroughly.
Now, Kiran, your first film was set in Mumbai, a city you live in and obviously know well. Yet Laapataa Ladies is set in rural India, something that's very different. presumably a place you know a lot less about. How did you know that this story was going to resonate?
Well, actually, the film is set in rural India, but it does talk about experiences that are pretty universal when it comes to women. It's about following your dreams. It's about discovering yourself, discovering space for yourself within conventional family setups. And honestly, even though I haven't lived in rural India, I think it's an experience that I've had while traveling, while working. We have a non-profit in rural Maharashtra. So I've had a lot of observational experience, maybe not lived experience, but I did feel that a lot of what we were talking about was fairly universal when it comes to women.
But it's also the fact that you made a film about rural India that actually is getting eyeballs in the cities. Did that surprise you?
Maybe I was a bit surprised to the extent to which the film was enjoyed by audiences everywhere. I wasn't sure it would do as well or be enjoyed as much. But as I said, I feel comedy is a great sort of leveler, a great way to tell stories that are otherwise very real or could be quite depressing. And I think that's what appealed across the board to both, what we call tier 2, tier 3, as well as urban centers.
Now, the film, provides messages in a very subtle way. It discusses things like financial independence, education. Did you set out to do that, or did that just happen?
No, we very much set up to do that. The original screenplay had the swap, but didn't have a lot of the plot that went into sort of the second and third acts, where we developed the characters of Jaya and sort of brought in this character called Manju Mai, who is this feisty tea stall owner. So a lot of that was built into the screenplay by my screenplay writer Sneha Desai, who's a wonderful theatre and now film screenplay writer. And it was very conscious because we wanted to show many different kinds of lives that are possible or ways of living that are possible for women, even within conventional rural or urban setups. So we did try to do it in a way that was seamless and fun and through character and plot rather than through overt sort of lecturing or, sort of delivering messages. And that was sort of a tightrope walk for both of us, but it ended up, I think, delivering.
Your ex-husband is the film's producer now. Amir Khan is a Bollywood superstar. You, as well as I, know that men typically in mainstream Bollywood movies are extremely macho, muscular, what have you. But the men in your film, Laapataa Ladies, are, dare I say it, meek. Was that something that you sought out to do? Because even the police officer turns out to be quite a softie.
That's a spoiler, Delano.
Sorry.
Give away. Well, I wouldn't call them meek. I would say the men are empathetic. A lot of them are quite well, in some way shaded, and they are a little more, I would say, subtle in their masculinity. They are not overtly, sort of macho men. But I think there's a lot of strength in being sort of empathetic, supportive husbands rather than just being this guy who's out to sort of find his wife and save his wife. So he's not a savior. In fact, Deepak, the central male character, is exceedingly, in fact, vulnerable and shows his vulnerability and his soft side. But it's a very like he represents men who feel emotion, who are able to show emotion, but are still strong at the same time.
And Kiran, very briefly, is there, when it comes to making these independent films, any government financing that's available for people like you?
Not really. We kind of have to find it for ourselves. There's not much finance for independent cinema in India. There are some grants and there are some film labs for screenplay development, but for production, it's not a lot. No.
And Laapataa Ladies is available to stream on Netflix. Kiran Rao, thank you so much for taking the time out from your vacation to speak to us here on France 24.
Thank you.
Now, gay television dramas produced in Thailand have been gaining popularity across Asia. The Boys Love TV series, also known as Series Y, has seen huge commercial success in the country. Fans say the shows are not only hugely in demand, but also promote an inclusive society. Jenny Shin reports.
At a low point in her life in a Chinese hometown, Huang Bingbing says she found comfort in watching the love story of two young men on a then unknown Thai TV drama. She came across the series Love by Chance 5 years ago and quickly became hooked. She's now one of a growing legion of fans of so-called boys love TV shows, exploring and celebrating same-sex couplings.
I feel like Thailand is a very inclusive country. People here don't care about genders and understand that it's each of our own choices. All love is equal, whether it's between men, women, or a third gender.
The storylines feature good-looking couples, romantic scenarios, and themes of being true to oneself. Commonly known as BL, the genre began as a strand of Japanese manga comics in the 60s and has today become a major hit in the region, with episodes racking up tens of millions of views online. The number of BL shows produced has jumped from 19 between 2014 and 2018 to 75 in 2022. It's also garnered international popularity, including in China, where the government has banned the genre, and even South America.
The government saw that Thai BL could function as a revenue generator. So it's surprisingly, the Prayut government just publicly announced to promote, okay, we promote Thai BL as the Thai product to the global.
The country is set to join Taiwan and Nepal later this year as the only places in Asia to legalize same-sex marriage. But LGBTQ campaigners say there's still work to be done to change attitudes in Thailand.
That's it for this edition of Access Asia. From all of us on the team, thank you very much for watching.